The zinghoppers.
Hi, friends. It's Jack with the Zinghoppers. I'm so thankful you could join me today for Storytime. This is a story I have wanted to read to you for such a long time. It's one of my favorite characters. His name is Paul Bunyan, and he has a friend named Babe the Blue Ox. Isn't that crazy? She's an ox and she's blue, and her name is Babe. And Paul is a lumberjack, and a lot of people think he comes from where I'm from, the state of Minnesota. Minnesota is a really beautiful place. There's lots of lakes and trees and blue skies. And a lot of people think Paul Bunyan lives here. Isn't that crazy? Well, let's read the story of Paul Bunyan and Babe the Blue Ox. It was told by Daphne Hogstrom, and it was illustrated by Art Seiden. And I will put the pictures and the words up, and you can follow along, and we can read this together. All right, here we go. Paul Bunyan and Babe the Blue Ox. Paul Bunyan was a mighty man. A giant man was he. He was the greatest lumberjack who ever chopped a tree. As tall as 20 buildings, as strong as 20 bears, as brave as 20 lions, as swift as 20 hares. He used a broadaxe and a saw to comb his inky locks, and almost just as large as he was Babe, his big blue ox. Now Babe, colored a shiny blue, like sunny summer sky, was as wide as the Missouri and 11 pine trees high. Old Jim the Crow, or so they say, would fly from horn to horn. He'd leave one wintry evening to arrive one summer's morn. No one can tell how Babe was found, though many songs are sung of how Babe wandered into camp when he was very young. Paul Bunyan raised and trained his pet to carry, pull, and pack, and Babe would feel rewarded by a pat upon his back. But others say that Babe was found the year the blue snow fell. It covered tracks and trails and trees, and Babe the ox as well. His tail, they claim, was poking out from snowdrifts on the rocks. And when Paul Bunyan pulled on it, he pulled out Babe the ox. Babe did the job of 16 men around that camping ground. He'd haul 500 logs at once and pile them in a mound. He dragged whole forests to the shore. He straightened crooked roads. He packed whole camps upon his back. He towed gigantic loads. The loggers tell about his deeds around their fires at night. They tell of how he'd strive and strain and work with all his might. They say he could pull anything, a mountain or a log. But would you think that even Babe could ever pull a fog? One winter's day, a fog lay thick on Paul's huge lumber camp. It made the woods grow deep and dark with icy cold and damp. The river fishes lost their way and swam up in the air till even Paul himself could brush the salmon from his hair. The little giddy fish got caught among the limbs of trees, and there they tried to swish and swim, as happy as you please. But Paul and Babe plowed ditches in the river's crimson clay. They both together tugged and lugged and drained that fog away. They say that Babe pulled rivers too, long, curly, twirly rills that gave the loggers extra work when floating logs to mills. Old Paul would hitch him to a wave, then Babe would huff and puff until his master cried out, "Stop! That stream is straight enough." But sometimes Babe was troublesome, as when he tried to tub. He'd need at least a little lake in which to scour and scrub, and tons of yellow soap, and barrelfuls full of cream. But when the job was finished, how he'd shimmer, shine, and gleam. Then, feeding Babe could be a task. His mouth held bales of hay, and often, as you might expect, the wire got in the way. So while he chewed and chawed and chomped, 10 strong men stood beneath, with pitchforks in their hands to pick the wire between his teeth. Now Babe was just 100 when his strength began to fail. He found it hard to haul a house or straighten out a trail. Paul put him in a pasture on the very edge of town, where he could see the people pass as they rode up and down. And Babe was very happy, for the children came in flocks to climb the tail and pat the back of Babe, the big blue ox. Isn't that a great little story? Paul Bunyan and Babe the blue ox. Can you imagine seeing an ox that was blue and one that big? That's crazy. Well, I want to thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me today. I love our time together reading books. It's so much fun. I'll be here again real soon. I'd love to see you. We'll read another story the next time I see you, okay? Have a great rest of the day. See you again soon.
The Zinghoppers.